Welcome back to the Wonder Bros Pod. This is the place where we are rediscovering wonder and exploring the power of storytelling.
Yeah, and right now we're going through a full-on project that is likely going to be broken down into seasons. This one is called the Countdown to Doomsday, where we are rewatching all of the MCU movies and rediscovering our own wonder and imagination through the power of storytelling in the MCU world. So today we are on episode 8, and we're talking about Thor: The Dark World.
Thor: The Dark World.
It was bound to happen. We had to get here, and we have to get through it.
The best movie in the MCU.
I really wish that was your take, because that would be an incredible conversation.
It'd be really hard to do.
Like, it'd be so
for me
hard
to position myself as that.
Oh man! Yeah.
For listeners that may have heard us last week, we do still have special guest, the puppy Fenris, with us today. He's still not quite ready to be left alone, and I think that's more me than the dog. So
he's now your security blanket.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, hey, at least he's on brand for this episode this week.
That's right.
So yeah, Thor: The Dark World. Yeah, the question, did we actively enjoy this film, or do we just tolerate it to get to the next film? I feel like that's a good place to start. I have my answer.
Yeah. Why don't you answer that question?
I for sure tolerate it.
You do?
I do. I barely watched this movie. I've seen it enough times that I know my thoughts on it. I brought a lot of notes from... Actually, a lot of the notes this week does not come from the book. I just have notes, and I looked up things on the internet and did my actual research this week, and just found some little tidbits. But a lot of it is just, I definitely just tolerate it. It's a broken story, and we'll dig into it. But yeah, it's definitely. I no longer think it's the worst Marvel movie.
Okay.
And we can kind of dig into that. I don't.
Just because of how much you love She-Hulk? Is that what's going on here?
She-Hulk was a TV show. It's a different category. Definitely. Well,
you loved it so much.
We can't get into that again. Like, and truly notable is that actually isn't rated the lowest Marvel movie anymore. Eternals is. Oh, yeah. And I think that is terribly unfair.
Really?
Oh my gosh. I truly like the Eternals. Like, really do. For all the things that it wasn't, it became something that was different from all the other MCU movies and had a completely different identity. And so I think that's why it was rated the lowest, but and people didn't like how slow it was, and but I thought it was a cool story. I want to see more of the Eternals. It's a really interesting storyline, all about Celestials. I'm about that storyline. I really liked it a lot. And I thought the actors were great in it. It was there's some cheesy points in it and whatever, but like, I don't think it's worse than this movie, like in terms of story, and characters, so there's just a lot of disjointed things, which we can get into, in the origin story, which is coming up next. So
sure.
Yeah, what's your thoughts? Initial thoughts?
Yes, a lot of problems with this movie. Comes out the end of 2013. We just had Iron Man 3, which was in my opinion, one of my favorite inside the MCU. I thought it did a really good job there. This was the first one I saw in theaters, which is nice. We talked about this. I kind of used the word nomad. Like I didn't come in on the first episode. I came in later.
Right.
I was super excited at this point because I was getting into the Norse mythology.
Right.
And so I was really pumped for things like Svartalheim and the Dark Elves.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like the story did not treat any of that well, neither from a mythology standpoint. I'm worried, I guess, as we're starting this episode, that this is going to be a little bit like the Incredible Hulk. We're just going to shit on it the whole time. But there are a couple of things in this movie that I really did like. I think the opening here for me, when I rewatched it, the real change for me was whenever it struck me that this wasn't a Thor movie.
Sure.
It's a Loki movie.
Yeah.
This movie. So Thor: Love and Thunder, Thor: Ragnarok, and Thor. Those, I went reverse order. Those are all clearly Thor movies, right? Loki has a great role to play in several of those movies. Jane Foster has a great role to play in those movies, but clearly the central protagonist is Thor. Yeah. In the Dark World, we start out with a character who, sort of synopsis of the movie. The very first scene, he gets put into prison. And the end of the scene, no spoilers yet. We'll talk about how this thing ends. But Loki is the central hero of this movie. And that actually made it a little bit better for me.
Okay, so in another, to frame it a different way, is this the MCU's most forgettable film, or does it get unfairly buried?
I think after the Loki TV series, after Loki's sacrifice in Infinity War Endgame, I think it's now unfair. I think that before we had, again, because I'm gonna this entire episode from me, you and I want to be talking about this as Loki's movie.
Yeah.
Before this was Loki's movie, I could have ignored this. I again, it'll come up later in Spark and Fizzle. A couple of things I did like, a lot of stuff I didn't. But I think I could have ignored. This is like a flyover state for me.
Yeah.
But now that I see it as Loki's story, I actually really, enjoyed that subplot.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I went back to rewatch it.
Yeah, for sure.
How about you?
I actually think it is the most forgettable film because I always have to, when I started, I'm like, oh yeah, that's what this movie's about. Like I actually forget what this movie's about.
Sure.
And I don't really forget films that I've watched very often.
Right.
It's a weird thing I have. It's almost like photographic memory, but for movies. And so for this one once I started, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I remember the characters, I remember this plot, I remember how it ends, I remember all the things. But like to go back and watch it, I wanted to skip it really bad. And to be fair, I kind of did. I was on my phone most of the time. It's just because it's just boring. It's just not, But let's get into it. So, and I will say one of the interesting parts about this that we should bring up front to your point about Loki being the main character. Tom Hiddleston showed up as Loki at that year's San Diego Comic-Con in 2013. To help promote the movie because it was in July, so it had been before it came out, in full costume and addressed the crowd in character. It's one of a lot of people would consider that one of the best Comic-Con moments in MCU history.
Totally.
The movie itself couldn't actually live up to his own marketing of the movie. So yeah, let's get into the origin story a little bit. Some of the comic book roots that this is pulling from: Walt Simonson's Thor. So Malekith, the Accursed, was created by Walt Simonson and first appeared in Thor number 344 in June of 1984. What year were you born?
83.
83. So yeah, you were one. It was the beginning of your story. It's when Malekith came around.
That sounds about right.
I said Walt Simonson. It's Simonson. I'm probably pretty sure. I'm like realizing it's Simonson. Simonson. Maybe. Yeah, Simonson. Never heard that name before. Simonson's Thor run was 1983 to 1987, only 30 issues. Widely considered the definitive Thor comic. He introduced Beta Ray Bill, turned Thor into a frog, and raised the mythological stakes dramatically. But in the comics, big difference here. Malekith's backstory is genuinely dark. Sold into slavery by his own mother for 2 sacks of snake livers and half a barrel of pickled toads.
Wow.
It's funny to say out loud. He worked as a body burner during war, was captured by trolls, trained under a wizard he ultimately killed. His weapon in the comics was the Casket of Ancient Winters, a magical artifact that generates catastrophic snowstorms, not an Infinity Stone. The film replaced the Casket of Ancient Winters with the Ether, which turned out to be the Reality Stone later, as we figure out, connecting Malekith to the Infinity Stone storyline at the cost of his original motivation. So that's the first point I feel like already that's like, all right, we're deviating in maybe a way that was probably not the best.
Yeah, I mean the casket came up in Thor 1. That was the thing they stole from the Frost Giants.
You're right. So that's how they replaced it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I guess they always knew they were going to have to introduce the Infinity Stone, so this is how it was going to happen. In the comics, Curse, spelled with a K, eventually kills Malekith, avenging a betrayal.
Wow.
Yeah, and the film adapts this, but accelerates the timeline and removes the tragic irony. So, yeah, I think it's really interesting. Also, as a part of this origin story, the 3 directors who were involved with this, Kenneth Branagh was actually supposed to direct this. He stepped away immediately after production, said the pace was way too quick. for him to
so
jump back in.
Because we talked about that. He's such a slow burn in
Yeah.
everything he does. He's like, pace is too quick.
Yeah. But you know what? I'm out. He's like, I can't keep sprinting.
Sure.
His operatic theatrical Shakespearean approach gave Thor its tone, but he was done, so it changed a little bit in tone. That was when Patty Jenkins came along, and she was attached until kind of early on, actually. She departed December 2011, so I'm not sure when this movie started filming, but it's probably around that time. I'm sure they were pretty much done with it way before. So yeah, it announced her as the director. She exited, citing creative differences. Some people did not like the Marvel train back then. The Marvel machine.
Yeah.
Her pitch was a Romeo and Juliet structure. Jane stranded on Earth, Thor forbidden to save her. Malekith hiding the dark energy inside Earth specifically because Odin doesn't care about it. Jenkins said she wasn't the right person to make a great Thor out of the story Marvel wanted, only that she could have made a great Thor out of the story she wanted. She went on to direct Wonder Woman in 2017. Her version would have been a very different film. And of course, we get the actual director, which is Alan Taylor, Emmy-winning TV director. He did Mad Men, The Sopranos, Game of Thrones. Lots of big ones under his belt. Marvel wanted Game of Thrones grittiness and boots on the ground aesthetic applied to Thor's world. Taylor brought cinematographer Kramer. I'm getting into the weeds a little bit. Morgenthau, his Game of Thrones DP, and intended a darker and more grounded film. This actually does kind of come back around. So there's a lot of people. He hired a lot of people he'd worked with before. He hired Carter Burwell, who worked with him on No Country for Old Men and Fargo, incredible movies, to score it. And Marvel replaced Burwell with Brian Tyler. Then they rewrote the ending in post-production. So that's when they added Loki scenes and reshoots that weren't in the original script. Then the mid-credit scene, The Collector, was directed entirely by James Gunn. Makes sense. Not Taylor. And Taylor has described the experience as a different movie from the one he made. So actually what's really crazy is when you think about it, like he told the Hollywood Reporter, I've learned that you don't make a $170 million movie with someone else's money and not have to collaborate a lot. The Marvel experience was particularly wrenching because I was sort of given absolute freedom while we were shooting, and then in post it turned into a different movie. So it was massively changed later. His original version reportedly had more childlike wonder, branded for us, and a more magical quality. He described starting the film with children. What survived in the final cut is a grittier, more action-oriented film that also has Kat Dennings making intern jokes. But yeah, of course, we get the Loki edition there, who was originally not in the film at all, and then gets added in much later. So
yeah, my understanding is that it almost led to Portman's exit. And so Natalie Portman was going to leave because she really respected Jenkins.
Right. That's why she originally came on.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and then also they had some writing issues too. Don Payne died while they were still finishing the writing, which brought in Marcus and McFeely, Marcus and McFeely, to do some rewrites. But yeah, you're right. The net of all that is that Marvel was developing a house style. Like this is what it's like to work in a Marvel movie. And it's got to be a certain amount of action, a certain amount of grit, a certain amount of humor.
And it's got to tie into the greater storyline, which is hard.
But those last two elements, the humor and tying into the greater storyline, I think those were actually the things that kind of caused the biggest stretch here. We could have had a gritty movie. Yeah. But they turned the ether into the reality stone, not a stone, and a morphic thing. And then the humor, I felt like was so bolted on and unnecessary. We'll talk about it in a minute. But that really, again, made this feel schizophrenic for me.
For sure. And I think that there's a lot that we're going to dive into. I think we can, let's go ahead and jump into the pull list.
Let's do it.
Yeah. What you got?
The one that I said I would do all the way through phase 2 is a severed arm. And so the fight.
Who is it?
In the fight against Malekith, Loki cuts Thor's arm off. It's not real. It's an illusion, but you see Loki cut his arm off. And that's just, again, for listeners that didn't hear the last episode, that's an homage. Kevin Feige required it of all Phase 2 movies to pay respect to The Empire Strikes Back, where Darth Vader cuts off Luke Skywalker's arm. Yep, that was cool.
And it also sets up a fun little game that they play where they are always doing like mischief together and like
brother.
yeah.
So predictable.
Let's do Get Help. You know, it's just like there's so many great moments that comes up later on throughout the movies.
Life is about growth, and you stay the same. Ragnarok.
Yep.
So bad.
Frigga's death. That's my first pull.
It's number 2 for me. Keep going.
Yeah, okay. Single most emotionally effective scene in the film. Rene Russo's Frigga defends Jane Foster from Malekith alone, and she's the only one who fights back effectively.
Right.
And the funeral scene that follows, floating lanterns on water, burning boats, is genuinely beautiful. Is an amazing scene. Thor and Loki's grief over their mother is the emotional engine of everything that follows after that. I mean, it's the defining moment of that film, and even comes back. They come all the way back. What an emotional moment that they got to connect that to an Endgame that we'll get to.
Right.
Like, you know, so like getting that payoff later on, it made it even better. It's so much greater to watch it again, knowing he's gonna get that moment with her right before she dies in the Endgame. So like that kind of storyline really, I really loved. This is also, you know, where Hiddleston earns his place. Loki's reaction to Frigga's death. It's private. It's not performed. It's one of his best moments in the MCU. So yeah, I love that. I loved everything about it.
Yep. I agree with you. That was the best, in my opinion, the best moment in the movie. You made a great point there. Frigga is the only one that actually mounts an effective like response in that first fight against Malekith. Her trick, I didn't see it coming. I didn't see Jane Foster being an illusion there, because she's like, you know, keep your mouth shut and do exactly what I tell you. And you don't know that she's already out of the room. And that was like, oh, man, it's Loki's move.
Right.
Frigga is the one that taught him that. I didn't expect them to kill his character. And that really, we see it again in Endgame Infinity War, where Thor is talking to Rocket, and he's like, I've lost my brother. I've lost the woman I love. I've lost my mom. I've lost my dad. I've lost my best friend. Like, the story of Thor is one of loss.
Yeah, constantly.
And this is scene 1. This is the first death. And then in his mind, the next death happens later on in the movie whenever he thinks Loki's died. And it just kind of continues on. Little cinematography thing that I think was really interesting is that when Frigga, her body disintegrates, it goes up, presumably to Valhalla.
Yeah.
In Ragnarok, whenever Odin's body disintegrates, it goes out to sea. It doesn't go up. Now, of course, Odin is definitely going to Valhalla.
Sure.
But he technically didn't die in battle.
Right.
This might get cut, but do you know the actual... So in Poetic Edda and Prose Edda, which are the two core Norse mythology, like spiritual readings, there are 2 ways to get to Valhalla.
Oh, okay.
Do you know this?
No.
Okay, so the first one is you have to die in battle. Right, and so that's that whole moment where Lady Sif has lost an arm, and she's like, let me die. And he's like, actually, if I let you die right now, your arm might be in Valhalla, but you're not, right? Because your arm died in battle, but you didn't. The other one, Odin says the second way to go to Valhalla is being suffocated twixt the thighs of a woman.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's right. 2 ways. And honestly, either's fine for me.
Oh, man. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
But hey, I did it for the cheap joke, but also very true. Still true.
Wow.
There are
really
2 ways into Valhalla.
Wow.
Is to die or to get suffocated in a sexual act.
Have a hard time imagining Anthony Hopkins saying that.
I want him to say it so bad now. Like I want him to. There are 2 ways to get into.
Man.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, what's your next pull?
So I don't have that much. I mean, in terms of Frigga's really the pull for me. I did like, and man, this is a stretch in terms of a pull. But I did like is that a quantum field generator? Is it Soul Forge? Is it doing such and such? Yeah, it's a quantum field generator. It again, you get to see the interplay between Asgard's magic and Earth's science, and how
Yeah.
one is they overlap each other,
Mm-hmm.
use different words to describe the same thing.
Yep.
And so that again, that was useful. It
Sure.
was good and I was like, oh, that's cool. And also, kind of her, you see her be really smart. She's like, it's a quantum field generator. You know, it's like, I know what I'm talking about. You know, I have a PhD in this. I wrote the book.
Yeah.
So that was cute. But man, that really does it for me on the pull list. This did not hit, aside from Frigga, and then the very end of the movie. This I didn't have a hit moment where I was like, oh man.
Right.
Yeah. What about you?
Well, because of that, we'll just go through a few of mine. I did like the Thor Loki alliance, the real or not real. Like, you kind of have this whole theme throughout the thing, even through the fact that Loki dies or seems to die, saving Thor. Nobody believed it. Test audiences didn't believe it. Marvel added the Loki as Odin reveal at the end to confirm what everyone already suspected. So like, it was already like, test audiences were like, there's no way he's dead. And so they put that in there to confirm it for everybody. Like, this is the story. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. And just to add another tidbit alongside that, while I'm thinking about it, the Hiddleston introduced footage from the film at San Diego Comic-Con that year in full costume, but he yelled at the audience to make everybody kneel to see it, and of course the crowd went insane. It was so good. And sadly, I wish the film just didn't match that energy.
Right.
I wonder when the reshoots happened, because I mean, yeah, it must have been way before that. Anyway,
yeah, even the scene where Odin's voice is describing the reality stone, the ether as a reality stone, you never see his mouth moving. That was re-recorded, redubbed.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I actually did. As I was sitting here thinking about it, I did have one little moment that I thought was really good, and it was whenever they, right after Frigga's death, they're going to Svartalheim and they're fighting. They're on the boat and they're fighting.
Yeah,
and he's like, and he says. He says, why didn't you come get me? And he's like, you were in prison. It's like, who put me there? And he's like, you know damn well who put you there. Right. And again, we're seeing Loki never thinking he's the villain. It's not until the Loki TV show that he finally realizes, oh, God, I'm the villain.
Yeah.
I thought I was doing the right thing.
Right.
And then he's like, she wouldn't want us to fight. I was like, well, she wouldn't really be surprised. You know, like, it's normal. You see their brotherhood. And I think that was actually pretty helpful. It was a good space there, and it sets up later on the sacrifice scene later. Yeah,
for sure. I find it entertaining, the whole Greenwich battle, the interdimensional kind of physics comedy that happened in that whole thing, which I kind of introduces this idea that we later see in Doctor Strange, both in Multiverse of Madness and in the first movie, to some degree, with like the kaleidoscope effect and how they can warp reality. So you do kind of have a little bit of that, but the climax using Eric Selvig's teleportation devices, sending combatants through portals between realms mid-fight. Visually was inventive. I will give them that. Objects and people phase between locations. Gravity inverts. Malekith gets crushed by his own ship, which is poetically appropriate. They fit the Stan Lee cameo in there. The patient in a mental ward asking for his shoe back. I also love now rewatching all of Stan Lee's cameos, knowing that he's he's tied to not the Watcher. But he's...
Yeah, the Watchers.
Is it the Watchers?
Yeah.
He's one of the Watchers.
All the way back to one of the... was it one of the Spider-Man movies? All the way back there, we got his first cameo. And then there's that moment where he's standing in front of 3 Watchers, and he's telling them all about his story.
Right. Yeah. Okay, it's a Watcher.
Yeah, it's a Watcher.
And I liked the Captain America cameo. I thought that was kind of fun.
That was good.
That was a good way to get Chris Evans in the movie. It's so good. And I didn't hate the mid-credit scene with the Collector getting ready to tie everything together. It was like...
Sure, that comes up for me later, but it wasn't like a... I don't know, talking about the Captain America scene, they shot that twice. So they first shot Loki in Captain America's outfit, and then they shot Chris Evans mimicking Loki.
Yeah.
And so you're getting again, there's one of these great little storytelling elements that happens. It comes through where Hiddleston is mocking Evans. Evans is mocking Hiddleston, mocking Evans.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think it worked.
Yeah, it was great. That's pretty much all I got. So let's go head on over to Spark and Fizzle.
Yep.
What's first Spark?
I did like the Loki Thor fight sequence on Svartalheim, where they're fighting Curse and Malekith, were also the bait and switch. So you get Loki as a mischievous person, then you get Thor as a warrior, and you get them fighting with each other, and then you get Loki ultimately. The way Curse dies is a trick. Mm-hmm. Loki brings him in, but then he sets off that grenade, that like gravity black hole grenade or whatever that was that he fired off.
Right.
Sitting on his, and so ultimately, each of them are fighting in their own styles, but I think the fight worked.
Yeah.
I did like that.
Yeah. I only really have a couple because we kind of already touched on them because I had Tom Hiddleston as Loki, obviously carries the film. Frigga's death, Thor's grief was a great theme that kind of was like a hidden gem in the movie. Malekith's language, a new dark elf language, was kind of interesting. Shivayathith was created specifically for this film.
Oh, wow.
So it's a level of world building commitment the finished product doesn't deserve, but it was probably great in the original cut that we'll never get to see. Right. So I think that's kind of interesting. And then my other spark is Renee Russo, criminally underused. I think she's 100%. An incredible actress and a really great actor, really could have done a lot more and maybe did in the original cut. We don't know. So I think that there was definitely some real potential there, and I'm like I said earlier, super glad that she got to come back and have such a great moment in Endgame from from this movie, which is great. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I got another one. When Thor walks into the house and he hangs Mjolnir on the coat rack.
Yeah,
I thought it was funny.
Yeah,
and it makes me think of later on and what's coming up later in Age of Ultron, where he's like, okay, but if you put it in an elevator, so it goes up. Not worthy, like because they're trying to figure out if Vision is worthy, to rule Asgard.
Well, and fast forward to way later when he makes it, he disguises it as an umbrella, and he hangs it. Yeah, so.
So that was because it's a, later on or in Ragnarok he like puts it on top of the Hulk and the Hulk can't move it. Yeah, you see these moments where Mjolnir's magic is unstoppable. Yeah, and he just like. Hung it on a hook. Like, okay, that's a funny joke. That worked. That one worked for me. And then of course the spark at the end, the thing that's the one true spark that made this Loki's movie is whenever Odin phases and it's actually Loki the whole time. Yep. And there were a couple of elements that you could have seen if you're looking really closely at the scene. I went back and looked at this. For instance, the position that Odin is sitting. He's leaning to the side, holding his. Whereas Odin, anytime he's on the throne, is sitting upright because he's the king. Loki doesn't, and so you could have seen that there. The other thing is the ravens. Anytime Odin is on his throne or in his bed, the ravens are perched on the left and right of him. The ravens aren't there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Good little attention to detail.
Next time you go back, you'll be like, oh, well, the ravens aren't there.
If I go back.
When you definitely go watch this 4 more times because it's the best movie.
Right.
Yeah, so, but yeah, that made this movie so, again, retroactively, after watching all the other movies, going back to watch this one, being reminded that Loki fakes his death, gets the redemption out of being a prisoner, gets the sacrifice moment. I didn't do it for them. Yeah. Or for father. I didn't do it for him. And then still, after all of that, still ascends to the throne of Asgard, which was his goal in Thor 1.
Right, yeah.
So he did it. And he did it. Right? Yeah. Now, he did it poorly. We learn in Ragnarok that the 9 realms are falling into chaos, and he's in his bathrobe watching drama about himself.
Right, yeah.
So he's not great at it, but those were some really good sparks for me. The Mjolnir moment, and then of course Loki shape-shifting. That was good.
Yeah. That was good. All right, let's move to Fizzles. I'll go first for this one. Malekith as a whole, you take away all of those components I was mentioning earlier. What is he? Like he's a nothing. He's a big nothing burger, as they say.
That's right.
Character is a non-entity. He speaks almost entirely in his language. Has no meaningful backstory on screen, and his motivation is eternal darkness with no personal dimension.
Right. It felt a little bit like Dormammu.
Yes.
Same thing. Just
Yes.
like, okay, we're just gonna make everything dark, and and it's like,
Yeah.
what? There's so much more to this character.
Right.
We're getting none of it. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And then, you think about like the actor, what's his name? Christopher Eccleston. He accepted the role primarily for the money, hated the makeup process, which took 7 hours. For what?
Yeah, right. In fact, it worked against him because you got so little of his face.
Right.
So little facial expression. So it was such a flat character. Yeah, that's right.
And he said so publicly, like he hated it. Marvel didn't even put his name on most of the promotional materials. And on that same note, though, because the story changed to the ether from the Casket of Ancient Winters, the Infinity Stone logic required this change, but it really just gutted his actual motivation. So like then you don't really understand this character. You don't really understand why he's doing these things. There's just no real drive for it. So like I never believed in the character. It's just like we said, like the best Marvel stories are the ones where we empathize with the villain.
Right.
And we root for the hero, but we empathize with the villain. We see their perspective, we see their side of it and go, oh, I mean, like, is he wrong though? And so I feel like that's definitely was a huge fizzle for me overall, and it really just kind of was the overarching theme for the whole movie.
It reminds me a little bit of the Never-Ending Story, where the primary villain is the nothing.
Yeah.
It's just the evaporation of reality. But you personify that in Malekith because he wants to sort of accelerate that and get everything back into eternal darkness. But again, as a humanoid villain to physically combat with a hammer, really flat character, really not adding anything to the story, actually.
Right.
Like you could have just done it with the nothing. Right? You could have used lightning to fight the, whatever.
Sure.
Jumpstart the Earth's core or whatever, and some other stretch of a sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
So I'm with you on that. I'll tell you it almost jumped the shark for me was how in the world was Jane containing the Reality Stone?
Yeah.
Whenever it took the entire Guardians team to hold the Power Stone.
Yeah.
And only a god could hold the Tesseract or a super soldier briefly. How was a human, end of story, able to hold the Reality Stone, which is arguably more powerful because it can rewrite reality.
Yeah.
Even rewrite its own power. You think about like the chaos magic that comes up with Scarlet Witch is very similar.
Yeah.
And there's whenever...
Hence the color.
Right. That's right. Yeah. So whenever it came to light that Jane is... Now, I get that it's going to kill her. But again... Peter Quill is falling apart instantaneously holding the Power Stone.
Yeah.
She gets a whole movie to not die holding the Reality Stone in her body.
Well, and we've already changed the logic because it hasn't been set. The Infinity Stone logic hasn't been set yet. So the fact that it's amorphous, the fact that it's like this liquid, gassy, whatever the hell, I guess we're supposed to like give it a pass because it isn't the stone yet. I guess maybe I don't know. There's no really explanation as to how it is not the stone and then becomes the stone. I don't think they really knew.
Yeah,
I don't think there was a lot of thought put into that one.
Yeah, even as I was saying all that, I was like, oh, that feels like it was just bolted on at the end.
Yeah,
to drive the story forward. Which as you said, this is a forgettable movie that does in fact bolt on to advance one portion of a 6-stone saga.
Right.
It's okay.
Exactly. Yeah. Other fizzle.
What'd you think of the fight with the Cronin?
I think I was on my phone.
Whereas they're in the middle. It's in the beginning when they're in the middle of the fight with the Warriors 3.
Yeah.
And the big Cronin, it's not Korg, but it looks like Korg comes up, and he's like, "Roar," and they're all like, "Oh man, I'm gonna fuck him up," and then he's just like one hit, and shatters him. He's like, "Anyone else?"
Yeah,
what'd you think about that? Anything? You're on your phone, so that's what you thought about it.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it was fine.
Yeah.
Again, it harkens back to the first Thor, where it's like you want to see more of the Warriors 3. It's like we got a little bit of it there, and it's kind of fun, but like battle over in 5 seconds, like whatever. Okay, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah,
fell flat for me.
It also it was too similar, and the reason it's similar is because it's a direct riff on the scene in Indiana Jones where Harrison Ford was sick and he was supposed to have a sword fight, but instead, you know what I'm talking about? There was a guy who was at the sword fight and he just kind of pulls the pistol and he pulls the trigger and he shoots him.
Here's a terrible fun fact. I've never seen any Indiana Jones
Oh,
movies.
really?
I've never seen any of them.
Okay, well, we just lost all of our followers.
I don't think it's that serious. I feel like we say I've never seen Star Wars, but I have.
Right. Yeah. No,
maybe
so
we need to do an Indiana Jones series.
I mean, maybe it's good in its time.
Sure.
Like when it was produced, those were
fair.
Great.
Sure.
We probably wouldn't love them today.
Yeah, don't age well.
But yeah, there's one. I think it's in the third one, the Last Crusade. There's this scene where he's like running from the villains, the group of them, and one of them like stands in front of him, has a sword, and is like doing the like stunting with the sword. And he was supposed to get into a sword fight, but in real life, Harrison Ford had the flu and had diarrhea and couldn't have that fight.
Yeah.
And so he just sort of pulls his pistol and shoots him, and he dies. And he just like walks off. And Lucas was like, "We're keeping that."
Yeah.
And they kept it. And so it was a direct callback to that with the Cronin fight.
Sure.
Had you seen that, you'd have been like, "What are you guys doing?"
Yeah.
Not having seen it, it was even less memorable.
Yeah, maybe so.
Cool. My last fizzle.
Yeah.
Why was Eric Selvig naked at
Gosh.
any time? That was, again, they're trying to make it put some humor into it.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a serious astrophysicist who's also Scandinavian. He was, my mother read to me these stories when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
You had an opportunity to make him like the sage.
Right.
He could have been the Gandalf of this entire thing. The wise wizard who's figured out all this stuff. And what you get instead is like a comically idiotic, naked, running around in a mental institution. It's like, dude, the humor wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it.
And not to waste such a good actor.
I know, yeah. Yeah, that's right. I actually have put this whole rant on Instagram and tagged Stellan Skarsgård. So hopefully he comes back with it. Of course, I'm sure it's one of those official handles, so it's probably not even him. But this one bothered me a lot. It was, again, comic relief we did not need.
Yeah, one of my fizzles. Jane Foster's entire role in this movie. She's a vessel for a plot device for most of the runtime.
That's right.
Natalie Portman, of course, and Marvel's relationship deteriorated during this production, I think it definitely showed. Natalie Portman's a great actor, and it was very apparent. I felt like there was a lot of this. She was phoning it in. And maybe this is a hot take, but I don't like Jane Foster's character in any of the movies, really. Really, I don't. And it's like, I actually do feel like every time she shows up, it gets progressively worse and less believable as a character. Because I feel like however her character is written, and all respect to Natalie Portman, deeply a teenage crush for me. And I have loved her in most things.
I'm 43 and I still kind of have a crush.
I mean,
yeah,
she ages with us.
Yeah, that's right. We're all the same age, Natalie.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're busy.
She's amazing. Yeah, like
right.
Great movies. Like she can. I mean, Black Swan, work of art.
So
the new movie that she was in with Julianne Moore. I can't remember the name of it. It's kind of a weird name.
I don't know.
Where she's like an author is going to write about a teacher who had dated one of their students.
Oh wow.
Anyway, it is a crazy movie that's kind of based on a real story, and she's amazing in that too. Felt a little bit Black Swan-y without being Black Swan. So I mean, she's great in lots of things. She's great with humor. So I know that it's the writing of this character. It's got to be the writing. And why does it get progressively worse? All the way to Love and Thunder, which is where I hate her the most.
Oh, really?
I hate her the most in Love and Thunder. I'm like, God, I hate everything about your character because none of it's believable. It feels very cartoony. It's very campy. It's very, all of the bad things. And I felt like this was just such a obvious, like, he needs a love interest to carry the story forward, and we need to have something that is causing some type of stakes, because otherwise, who gives a shit?
Right. Yeah.
And so,
we're looking at, across two movies, we're looking at years, in actual calendar time, but also in MCU time, and they spent 36 hours with each other, just enough time to fall so desperately in love they can't be apart from each other and will cross worlds for each other.
Yes.
And then after 5 years, he hasn't been anywhere. The first thing she does is like, I waited for you. Like, why? And,
Well,
bad date.
for her,
Sure.
I get it. I mean, you met a god. Of course you're going to wait for him.
Yeah.
Like, who compares? But for him, a mere mortal human.
Yeah.
Against all of the universe of all creatures. Like, I don't know.
Honestly, no, that's actually more believable to me.
Really?
That the god would find a human who was by all categories, I hate to say it like this, but like beneath him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But also represents something that is in all of his experience in the universe unique.
Mm.
And even to the point of like condescension. This is Arwen Evenstar, right? This is Arwen from Lord of the Rings. She's an elf and could have any elf.
Sure.
But here's this one very special human,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll actually choose a mortal life to be with him. So, and that one actually is
fair.
more believable because he's lived thousands of years and has had all the experiences he wants,
That's true.
and now has finally found somebody worth settling down for. But if you spend 36 hours with a celebrity, a superhero, not even a god, just say a celebrity.
Yeah.
You spend 2 nights hanging out with so and so, and they were non-sexual. Like it was like there was no, all right, and then they disappear. It's like, okay, well, I'm just gonna move on with my life. Like,
Right.
that's gonna be a hell of a story.
Sure.
I'm gonna
yeah.
move on with my life, right? And in
especially
fact,
for her, who is like a very intelligent scientist who
right.
has everything going for her, has written books that has inspired generations of scientists, right? Like she's writing textbooks on entire ideas and concepts. Like, yeah.
and actually, are you aware of the alternate ending here? There was an alternate ending on this thing.
I'm sure there was an entire alternate movie.
Right, yeah. So part of the alternate movie was at the end of all this, they were going to sit down on the front steps, and she was going to tell him she can't be with him. She's going to break up with him. And break up with what? You guys had 36 hours, nothing for 5 years, and 2 nights.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. But she was going to say something to the effect of like, my life is here, your life is on Asgard, which again is like a shitty way to write that.
Yeah.
Like that scene wouldn't have worked either.
Nah, especially because like it feels like long distance, but when you have the Bifrost, it's a lot less long distance and dating across states here in the United States.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, the last person I seriously dated was 2 hours away in Atlanta. It was a round trip, 4-hour trip for me. Can you hear him?
Yeah, this dog is.
He's in his sleep, but
is he growling in his sleep?
He's growling in his sleep. Yeah, that's right.
Shout out to Finn.
That's right. He's currently attacking the Dark Elves. He's Fenris attacking the Dark Elves. He's protecting us. Yeah. Anyway, the idea that the Bifrost could put you there in just a couple of minutes or seconds.
Might as well be neighbors.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially whenever your best friend is Heimdall, which is coming up for me in the gutter.
All right, well, let's move on. Last little bit I'll say before we completely move on. Carter Burwell being replaced. I mean, I guess this almost could be in the gutter. We're going to transition.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be my first gutter. So let's move into the gutter. All right, so I wonder how much it would have changed the fact. I guess it's actually more of like Road Not Taken. But
keep going.
But Carter Burwell being replaced and his original score would have given the film more distinctive identity. And I think that's something like, because you think of like, you've seen No Country for Old Men, right?
I have not. Actually.
Oh, work of art. And it's in the score. Also did True Grit. What was the other things he did? There was another movie that I had in my notes, but incredible, very, very unique soundtracks and scores that he would write to movies, and I just feel like that would have been a very different thing. I also like talk about everybody went going nuts about the Snyder cut with Justice League. Like, I want to see the Alan Taylor cut of Thor: Dark World. I want to see it. Obviously, we're never going to, but man, I know that they basically like chopped that thing up into a whole different beast. So like,
who ended up actually doing the score? Was it Patrick Doyle? I think it's Patrick Doyle. It finished the score.
Is that who it was?
I think so. So whatever you just said, I don't want to invalidate that at all. Thor: The Dark World score, is my favorite score.
Of all MCU movies?
Yep.
Interesting.
It comes up. So sometimes when I'm in the gym, I'm like listening to hip hop, and sometimes I'm listening to rock rap. Sometimes I'm listening to movie scores, and when Thor: The Dark World comes up, man, that gets me pumped up. Again, shitty movie, but in my opinion, great score.
He did. It was Fargo. Fargo, No Country for Old Men, and there's still another one. Anyway, moving on.
I do think it was Patrick Doyle.
Yeah, I don't have the name. I thought I did. Anyway, so The Gutter. What you got?
Yeah, we do finally get to see Thor spending a lot of time with Heimdall.
It's true.
Because everybody else is celebrating his wins, and he's going back to the Bifrost, and he's asking Heimdall. As we talked about in Thor 1 episode 4, Heimdall is a really flat character. Fast forward to the time where that I earlier mentioned in this episode, where Thor and Rocket are talking. He's like, my best friend died. And that he's referring to Heimdall.
Yeah.
And then in Love and Thunder, Heimdall's son, Axel, is an incredibly important character.
Yes.
So we finally get a fully orbed character in Heimdall, and the start of it's here.
Yep.
And it's through the gutter. You actually don't get to see them interact much, but the way that he talks about, the way that both Odin and Heimdall talk about him spending time at the Bifrost, watching over Jane, actually there is a pretty healthy gutter moment there for us.
For sure. Yeah, it definitely adds a lot of context and a lot more depth. So for me, I was thinking about kind of like what this film actually is about. When you look at some of the subtext and deeper themes. And so I have just a few points that I'll just list off. The central emotional story is about grief and duty. Thor loses his mother and has to suppress that grief to complete a mission, and uses his adversarial relationship with Loki as an outlet.
Yeah. And just to take that another layer, in Thor 1, Odin is telling him to get his shit together to be king. In Dark World, Odin has lost his cool, and he's ready to kill every Asgardian to defeat the Dark Elves in Asgard. Yeah. And he's like, we've got to go to Svartalheim, because if we don't take this fight to him, he's going to come kill every one of our people.
Yeah.
And then fast forward to Ragnarok, and you've got Odin being the one saying, Asgard is not a place, it's a people. And so this is a moment here where Odin is learning from Thor.
Right.
And he says that, where he says, there'd never be a wiser king than you. And he says, you're wrong. And you're wiser than me.
Wow. Yeah. Such a good moment.
That's a good pull.
The Loki-Thor dynamic explores what brothers owe each other when one is genuinely dangerous and irredeemable, and whether irredeemable is ever actually final.
Yeah. I hope not, because I've done plenty of things that I would say not proud of.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Loki's arc across Thor 1 to Avengers to Dark World is, per Feige, a deliberate trilogy examining their relationship. This is the most sophisticated part of the film's construction. Yeah. I think that it really sold it. It's the reason to watch it. It's the reason, if I had to give a reason to watch this movie, you gotta watch it to understand Loki's journey. Yep. And it makes, like you said, it makes Loki and everything, you get the payoff even more when you watch this movie for that. So, yeah. Right. All right, what else you got?
Yeah, the consequences of destroying London come up in Civil War.
Yeah.
And Thor's not even in Civil War.
Yeah.
Right. So the Sokovia Accords come up, and they're not just talking about Sokovia. They're talking about New York, London, Sokovia. That's what they say. And the scenes are Battle of New York, Thor: Dark World, and Age of Ultron. And those are the three things that Ross is saying, hey, we can't do this anymore.
Right.
Obviously, it's a convergence of 9 realms, and there's this, so like from Thor's mythology side, it had to happen where it had to happen. But from just a Midgard side, from just Earth being Earth, you destroyed one of the most populous cities in the world. You killed a bunch of people, and you had that moment where they're all like, get out of here, and they're like, you kidding? That's freaking Thor. And they're like taking photos and stuff, and they get moving towards the violence, rather than moving away. That we don't experience those consequences until a later movie.
Yeah, it's true. And it is interesting. It's his absence in Civil War, when they're talking about that, is, I think, a something to acknowledge, because he is always like, I feel like Nick Fury and a lot of characters always like reference him. It's like, well, he's out there. Like we don't know where. Like I think there's jokes made. It's like when Thor's out doing whatever Thor's doing, like nobody knows, and so it's always like he comes here, he makes a mess, and then he leaves.
Yep. And if you had Thor on either side in Civil War, which why would he care?
Right.
He's not Earthling.
Yeah.
But if you had him, you would have to have the Hulk on the other side of the fight. Otherwise, whatever side Thor's on wins. Sorry.
Yep. Yeah.
He's the strongest Avenger unless Hulk's in the room, and then it's pretty close.
Right.
So that also is true that fight would not have stopped at an airport in Hangar Bay. That fight would have gone. I mean, if those two were actually in a Civil War fight on Earth, it could have destroyed nations.
It's true. Although I will say that in 2 different times, Thor beat Hulk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
No. Yes, and I love that scene in Ragnarok, both where he's like, "You didn't beat me, you cheated." And then later on, whenever it's Banner, and he's like, "Did we fight?" It's like, "Yeah, we fought. I beat you quickly." He's like, "That doesn't sound right." Like, well, like it's yeah.
So I have this list here of Malekith, what wasted potential looks like, is what I titled that point. Because the comics, Malekith is a genuine tragedy, sold into slavery, formed by war and betrayal, kills out of a philosophy that war is the only thing that gives him meaning. Like, there could have been so many good things. The Infinity Stone logic, required the ether as the MacGuffin, but which made Malekith's goal very abstract rather than personal, and that lack of personal. I mean, look at, because talking about, when we get there, we'll talk about it more. But the Thor: Love and Thunder, the only redeemable fact of that movie is the villain for me.
Yeah. I mean, Gore was one. I'm such a Christian Bale fan.
Oh,
he can
same.
almost do no wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, Gore the God Butcher in Thor: Love and Thunder, the way they wrote that, by far, and we've talked about this, the villains are always the more complex characters. By far the most complex and interesting character worth watching. And
very like blown right over that character in so many ways. Like, I felt like they could have done so much more with it. Yeah. I love the aspect of like the black and white, like the way he lives in a world without color. And
oh my gosh! But like we talked about this in Thor 1, and it will come up again when we talk about Love and Thunder. But talk about watch a guy go through a deconstruction.
Right. Yeah.
He got to see his God.
Yeah. And how much his God did not care.
Didn't give a shit.
And then he wanted to kill all gods. Like,
so, okay.
that's a vengeful, I can get behind that. You know, like, I get that. I understand.
That's right.
I understand
that
story. Yeah, let's burn it all down.
Fuck down. That's
yeah,
right.
exactly.
Yep.
So for this story to even think about it, like, as much as I don't like Thor: Love and Thunder, it's significantly better than this movie in that regard, because we actually give a shit about the villain.
That's right.
Yeah.
One more gutter moment for me is and it happened so briefly. We don't even have really time to think about it before the credits roll. But we don't see how Loki got Odin's throne.
Right.
I mean, we find out something about magic and exiled to an old folks' home in New York.
Yep.
And we find out about that in the next movie in Ragnarok.
Right.
But we don't actually find out. It's just and this again is my favorite thing about Loki. Is you do not get monologuing or narration, meta narration with Loki. Shit just happens.
Right.
Like,
well, except for Avengers, he did a lot of monologuing in that, but he was constantly talking about it.
Well, he was doing. So that was him kind of communicating glorious purpose, but what you didn't have him doing is telling them what he's going to do next.
That's true. That's true.
Not a true villain monologue.
That's true. Yes,
and,
I agree with that.
And then what you have here is like, and especially in Thor 1 and this one, you have so many layers of his trickery that again, I felt things when he died.
Yeah,
like I like you fuckers made me mourn his death.
Yeah.
And he even says that, Thor says that in Ragnarok. He's like, I've mourned for you.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I wasn't dead. It's another trick.
Right.
Yeah. Again, by far, my favorite character.
Yeah.
Forever. Yeah.
We know.
I don't care if you know.
All right. The road not taken. So let's talk about some what ifs, some alternate versions. I think the obvious one to start, what if Patty Jenkins had stayed?
I don't know enough about her other writing to know what that would look like.
Well, I know how she likes to handle female characters, and I know that Jane Foster would have been a character we probably gave a shit about.
Yeah.
Because she wanted to do her Romeo Juliet pitch was specific, it was romantic, and gave Jane Foster actual stakes and agency. We don't know what that was going to look like, but it was enough for Natalie Portman to say, yeah, I'll do that again. Because if it's Patty Jenkins, I'll do it.
One of the things I love about Romeo and Juliet is that to me, Juliet is a more complex character than Romeo.
Agreed.
Yeah. Romeo's really just chasing sex.
Yeah.
And a beautiful girl, and then he's a child just like Juliet. But when he takes the poison, he thinks he's getting out of it. When she takes the poison, she knows she's not.
Yeah.
And that's like that. I mean, that's brave.
For sure.
Right. Like Heath in that. So for Jenkins to come in and actually do a Romeo and Juliet where we begin to respect Foster more than Thor would have been really powerful.
It would have been very powerful. Yeah. And
because Thor's easy to respect. He's already powerful.
We already love him from the beginning.
That's right. So to make him actually a little less meaningful would have been good.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think the Malekith hiding the dark energy inside Earth because Odin doesn't care about it is genuinely kind of clever because it uses existing MCU lore that Odin's neglect of Earth as a plot mechanism. I think that would have been interesting. It would have made a lot more sense than putting it in a person. Yeah. As you would have said, it would have solved that problem. Yep. So it would have been interesting. Of course, Jenkins eventually got Wonder Woman, which validated everything she wanted to do in Thor 2. She got to do in that in so many ways. But the MCU version of that story may have been better than what we got. Who knows?
Yeah. What if we'd have had that alternate ending? There were two moments. One where Thor was going to be recovering in an Earth hospital, and Odin was going to be watching over him, which means you don't have Loki on the throne because Odin's gone. And that I think that would have been real weak. Like I honestly think that if we could have made the movie worse, we would have kept that scene in. And the Jane Foster breaking up with Thor scene, because what was going to happen is she was going to break up with him, and he was going to ride the Bifrost back to Asgard,
right?
Which is like he just would have showed up, and instead of staying away from Loki as king, he'd have gone right back. And
it's true.
The whole "You're my son, I love you, I'm speaking as a father, not as all father." These great lines that we find out later, Loki. We find out that Loki is saying, those are actually really poetic lines that are quite beautiful. It would have invalidated immediately if he'd have gone right back to Asgard.
Yep.
And into the movie there.
True.
So I actually do like that he stays, that they figure out that they're going to try to work it out.
All right. So let's...
Film's legacy.
Let's talk about some legacy, yeah. So what Dark World actually did for the MCU, it introduced the Infinity Stone, naming convention, previously Infinity Gems. Set up the Collector as a collector of Infinity Stones.
Yep.
Directly bridges to Guardians, which, we're coming up on it. It confirmed Loki faked his death and is now impersonating Odin, set up Thor Ragnarok's entire first act, which was great. So, film's honest assessment. Are you ready for this? This is my assessment. Dark World is not a good film. It is the weakest MCU entry through Phase 2 by most measures and by the accounts of its own director and at least one of its stars. It is not a disaster. The Thor-Loki relationship carries it. Frigga's death has real weight. All right. Anyway, the stinger. The next episode we've got coming up, Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
One of the best in the
One
MCU.
of my favorite movies.
It has by far the best combat scene. That fight sequence between Bucky and Cap on the street where and just the where he's got the knife. Oh man, it's so good.
Yeah, the dude and he drops it.
Oh
so
yeah,
good.
That's right. So good. Also, really draws a lot into. You get to see the thing that we always see with Cap, which is what happens when the people who hire him have different morals than him.
Yeah.
What is he going to do? And the answer is he's going to follow his moral compass.
Yep.
And so that's true for the entire. That's his character for the entire MCU.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk about this one. This one it has historically been my favorite MCU movie of all time until I have a really hard time not putting Infinity War Endgame, which I kind of put together as one storyline, theoretically. But that one, along with maybe No Way Home. I don't know. I'm trying to think.
Okay.
But Winter Soldier stays up there. I love watching it every single time. I've already started watching it for this next episode, and I probably will watch it twice before we get there, just because it's just so good. It's such a great story. It's got so many elements. Watching it the second time, we'll see. But watching it the second time. What am I saying?
Ninth or
the
10th
9th,
time.
12th time, whatever.
Right.
Yeah. But
When
Hydra
you're
was
into
on
your second dozen watching this.
Right, yeah. There was moments that I was like, we'll talk about it next week, though. Hydra was inside S.H.I.E.L.D. the whole time. So many good things. Russo brothers enter the MCU, and everything changes. And this is when the MCU, in my opinion, really finds its footing and finds its identity and establishes itself as the best.
Yep.
For as long as they can last. And so
That's right.
Come back next week. We'll be talking about Captain America: The Winter Soldier. We'll see you then.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Same what?
So the old Adam West Batman?
Yeah.
Where it was like, tune in next week, same bat time, same bat channel. Yeah.
I don't remember that, but that's great. I love that. Okay, well, that works. See you next week, everybody. See ya.